Honorable Speakers, honorable members, from the foregoing it is clear that the state of our nation is strong, vibrant, and I believe brimming with promise. However, Mr. Speaker, corruption and impunity endangers each and every one of these gains. It compromises on the promise of devolution, our economic growth targets, the realization of the Big Four. It compromises access to education. It compromises our security, human dignity, and the rule of law, and by extension, the very existence of our republic. Corruption and impunity create social distortions and divisions, fuels inequality and poverty, destroy the fabric of our society, and diminishes the vitality of our nation's upcoming generations by setting the wrong example for them. As I said earlier, there is no community, no religion, no moral code in Kenya that endorses stealing and abusing positions of responsibility. Africans, no matter their heritage or where they are in this continent, have ethical and moral principles as core to their cultures. The magnitude of the war against corruption we are fighting today is unprecedented, and it is taking place within our core institutions, Parliament, the executive, the judiciary, county governments, and also in our religious institutions, as well as private sector and professional bodies. While past administrations made attempts to deal with the challenge, the problem remained enormous and required more determined focus. Honorable Speaker, following my proclamation on anti-corruption in 2015, my administration embarked on a program to deepen the fight against corruption through strengthening and resourcing the institutions charged with this most noble duty. Since then, honorable speakers, we continue to witness the highest levels of engagement and action on this previously taboo subject. For the first time in our nation's history, 8 cabinet secretaries, 8 principal secretaries have had to step aside to give way for investigations and prosecutions, a concept previously unknown in public sector management. Honorable Speakers, 7 current and former governors and over 30 chief executive officers of state corporations are under active investigation or prosecution for various corruption-related offenses. In several cases, banks and other financial institutions have been fined for breach of regulatory duty. Infidelity with the law upon institution of any charges against a public or state officer, my administration has dutifully relieved the office holder of their public duties. Indeed, just this morning, I have exercised the legal instrument revoking the appointment of a High Court judge recommended for removal for corruption-related offenses. These are the outcomes of a dedicated and resolute government undertaken within the framework of the rule of law. Therefore, honorable members, to safeguard these outcomes, those institutions charged with this responsibility need to be strengthened, not weakened. But even with the success we have made, we cannot as yet celebrate. The challenge is still with us and required more concerted efforts to eliminate it. Honorable members, Kenyans have spoken loudly and challenged us as leaders to do all that it takes to eradicate this cancer. This they did during the National Anti-Corruption Conference held in January of this year, where they tasked me, the Speakers of Parliament, the Chief Justice, and the Council of Governors to commit to various demands that would entrench and widen the fight against corruption. Mindful of my cardinal responsibility, which is to serve Kenyans, as bestowed upon me by the Constitution, my administration has opted for an all-out assault on corruption. In this endeavor and in pursuit of this noble goal, my administration has continued to strengthen the investigative, law enforcement, and prosecutorial functions of government and embrace the multi-agency approach to encourage joint intelligence sharing, investigation, and prosecution. And these measures have already reaped visible benefits. Honorable members, it is not enough to merely jail and fine those who have looted from our public coffers. The wealth stolen from Kenyans must be returned to its owners, the people of Kenya, with a clear message being that corruption does not pay. In this context, that we have entrusted into the asset recovery agreements, we have entered into asset recovery agreements with foreign countries in pursuit of a robust restitution strategy. In the reporting period, the Asset Recovery Agency has investigated 20 cases and preserved assets worth 1.1 billion. Assets worth Kenya shillings 72 million were forfeited to the government, and further recovery proceedings on corruptly acquired property valued at Kenya shillings 7.5 billion were instituted. Additionally, assets worth Kenya shillings 2.5 billion were recovered, while bank accounts holding Kenya shillings 264 million were frozen pending determination of recovery proceedings. We have also introduced new accountability measures applicable at all stages of the public finance management cycle as a critical prevention strategy.